A Stitch in Time saves the Medicare for the Lazy Man podcast. The favorite podcast of angry torch-carrying villagers. And now, wondering exactly why junior high became middle school, it's Medicare expert Doug Jones.
Hello, everybody. Welcome to the Medicare for the Lazy Man podcast. We're so happy to have you joining us today. It's a beautiful day to spread the word about Medicare. Medicare doesn't have to be frightening and scary and doesn't have to be a huge impediment in your life. It can be a cause for celebration and joy. And especially joy at perhaps saving money. If you're paying way too much for an Obamacare health insurance plan, it's got a big, huge deductible. It costs a ton of money every month. Then the world of Medicare is going to be like a bright breath of fresh air in springtime for you, if that's what you're going from. If you're coming from an Obamacare plan to a Medicare plan, then I have nothing but good news for you. But that good news is all pretty much contained in my book, which I hope you go out and buy, Medicare for the Lazy Man 2023. New edition is on sale at Amazon right now and at barnesandnoble.com. 2023, big orange numbers splashed across the cover. The rest of the title is, or the subtitle of the book is The Simplest and Easiest Guide Ever. And if you are approaching Medicare and you're looking for a source of information that isn't going to give you a headache, it's not going to give you acid indigestion or an upset tummy, this is the source for you. Medicare for the Lazy Man 2023. You can buy it in paperback version. You can buy it in Kindle or ebook version for only $3.80. My God, what a deal. And you can purchase it in the magnificent new hardcover version at Amazon, which has colorful innards. The guts of the book have had color added to them, and this makes it suitable for gift giving to your most esteemed friends and relatives. It's a hardcover book that I'm proud to have my name on, and if you send it to me, I'll autograph it and send it back to you. You'll be proud to have your identity involved with the promulgation of this wonderful gift for your friends and relatives. So I do want to thank my Canadian nephew, Drew McMillan, who always does the introductions on these podcasts. I sent him a message a few days ago after Randy and I had a discussion about whether or not he should do the voice for the Audible book. The new 2023 Audible book has to be recorded, and Randy Carson told me that he thought that Drew would be an excellent candidate. Drew told me over Thanksgiving that he would be honored to do that. So when I sent him an email making sure that it wasn't just the cocktails talking, because we had a lot of cocktails when we had a family reunion in California during Thanksgiving, I haven't heard an answer back yet, so maybe it was the cocktails talking. Randy, what do you think I ought to do? Should I ask him again, or should I just go ahead and start recording it myself on the assumption that he's too polite to turn me down?
I would reach out to him one more time.
Okay.
Because he is so damn good at what he does.
I agree. Except for an occasional Canadianism that he slips in here and there. He is a consummate professional. Here's a kid who used to be a kid. Now he's not a kid anymore, but he has the success of his, I want to say, his mother asked him to have something to fall back on. So unlike a lot of us who farted off in college, he finished college and then he went out and got a CPA and got a secure job at an accounting firm in Toronto And then he started goofing around. That's when he went into the TV production. He was a television reporter in Timmins, Ontario, which I don't think they know what color the soil is in Timmins, Ontario, because it's got 3 feet of snow in it all year around. But so he thought up many clever ways to discuss the snowfall and what they do with the snow and how much more snow fell. It's like the Eskimos have 23 words for snow. Timmins, Ontario, they've got 23 different subjects they can discuss when they send a street reporter out into the snow to discuss the weather. So anyway, Drew McMillan has been in show business, and he has been doing our voiceover work for a while, and I think he would do a fantastic job on the Audible book. So I'm going to pitch it to him again and see if he bites. So anyway.
Yes. You mentioned that he got a CPA.
Yes.
And you know what my funny name is for a CPA, right? It fits Drew exactly.
Let me hold my heart-shaped pillow so my sternum doesn't break apart. And no, that's a throwback to our last episode. Go ahead.
Canadian party animal. That's what it stands for.
Yeah, I made the mistake of asking a couple of Canadians what the OPP stood for. And they said, well, that's the Ontario Party Police. And they're not big fans of the Ontario Party Police.
Okay, so I wanted to start out with some things. We haven't done basically Stump Doug for a while.
Ooh, ouch. Well, I just healed from the last stumping, so.
Oh, okay.
Be gentle.
Now that you're ready to go again.
Be gentle with me.
We are going to talk about history, and you're very good. You get a lot more of these percentage-wise than you would ever imagine, because you are such a well-read individual. So I'm gonna think for a moment. Well, not a moment. I'm gonna pretty well guess that you're gonna be pretty well on track with this, because this is a very seasonal thing that will pop into your head, and I don't think you're gonna have a bit of problem guessing what I'm talking about here.
Alrighty.
But what happened today in 1946?
Well, let's see now. Today is the 20th of December. In 1946, was it Tucker in his new car? Oh boy, that you better lube up that buzzer. It's doesn't sound that healthy. December 20th, 1946. Well, I know I was not even a twinkle in anybody's eye yet, so that can't be. Let's see, was it the Kuomintang versus the Chinese communists? No, that would have actually been 1949.
No, that's not
Randy,
it.
Randy, you got to do better than just giving me a year and a day.
So shall I give you a hint?
Please do.
All right, Frank Capra.
Okay, yes, It's a Wonderful Life.
Yes, absolutely right.
And we've discussed that movie before, because you asked me what they used for fake snow. And I said, whatever it was makes me feel cold every time I watch that movie. But in reality, it was filmed mostly in the San Fernando Valley in California, and it was hot. It was like a huge heat wave. It was 100+ degrees most of the days they filmed their outdoor scenes.
Well, as you know, the two lead actors were James Stewart and Donna Reed. And this is a bonus question to see if you can answer this. And I wouldn't be a bit surprised if you know this.
Oh, I hope I do. I hope I do.
Donna Reed. Where was Donna Reed born?
Oh, Iowa, right?
Denison, Iowa. Denison, Iowa.
Okay.
Yep, absolutely. You're doing wonderful. Let me give you one more bonus question and see if you can pull this one off.
Okay.
What part in It's a Wonderful Life did Lionel Barrymore play?
Oh, yeah. He was the wheelchair dude. Right?
Yep.
Yeah, he was the banker, the evil banker who tried to crush the family-owned savings, and they didn't call it a savings and loan. They called it a building and loan.
Building and loan, yes. And what was his name in the movie?
I don't know. I don't remember, but Mr. So-and-so, right?
It was he had an area in town named after him, and it was
Oh
called
yeah.
Potterville.
That's right, Mr. Potter. Mr. Potter.
Mr.
I can picture Jimmy Stewart say, Mr. Potter. But Saturday Night Live, I'm the one guy that watched Saturday Night Live from 1975 up to the present, hoping to see something funny once in a while. It's been a long dry spell, I got to tell you.
It has been a long dry spell.
But probably 20 years ago, they had a skit on about It's a Wonderful Life. And I can't remember what happened, but it was God. I'm trying to think of the star. He's still a favorite now, but he's a comedian who was a regular player on Saturday Night Live, and he and everybody else in the cast had a huge riot at the end of this skit. And they were taking Mr. Potter. They grabbed him out of his wheelchair and threw him behind the couch, and then they threw him across the stage a couple of times. It was obvious that whoever had been Mr. Potter was replaced with a dummy, and they were flinging this dummy around. But it was the townspeople rose up to basically murder Mr. Potter because they had had enough of him, and so it was a very funny skit.
Yeah, no, I have a series of holiday.
I got to stop
movies.
you because I thought of the guy's name. I'll forget it again. Dana Carvey.
Oh, Dana Carvey. Yeah, absolutely. He was the one that invented the what was it? The so-and-so lady.
The church lady. The church lady. Yeah. I love that. I love that. And I have, as I was saying, I have a series of holiday movies that I watch every year. And of course, last night, maybe it was the night before, I watched A Christmas Story. Oh yeah, okay.
Ralphie,
that's a good one.
And Ralphie, and the little brother's name was.
Oh boy, oh God, I can't remember right now. But I will tell you that it's heartbreaking that they can't do good sequels, because the sequel to that movie is, not good.
I haven't watched it. I've seen it advertised, and I haven't watched it because I'm not sure I will like it. And I love The Christmas Story, and I watch it every year, sometimes multiple times. But anyway, the little brother's name that spent most of the movie hiding underneath the sink was Randy.
Escapes me.
Was Randy.
Oh, was it Randy? Okay, well, no wonder I don't remember, because he was hiding, and he had to be. And he reminded me of my little brother. He'd get all strapped up in his snowsuit, with the hood and everything else, and had the laces tied around his face so that the flaps would cover up his skin, as much of his skin as possible. And then he'd have to go to the bathroom. You'd have to get them all unpacked from the snowsuit. It was very much like my life was in some respects. So I did not remember that his name was Randy.
Well, I was telling Margaret. I mean, Margaret doesn't get it. Okay, it's a
really.
It's
my God! What kind of rock did she grow up under?
Well, she's much younger than I am, as you know, and she doesn't understand a lot of the nuance of it. But I told her last night, or I've told her multiple times over the years, but that was my life when I was a kid.
Well, I had a very similar life, and I know that when I was a kid, I wanted a BB gun. All I wanted was a BB gun, and I knew enough to not want the Easy Rider BB gun, or Red Ryder model, because it looked more authentic because it was a lever action, but it wasn't as powerful as the Daisy pump. So I wanted a Daisy pump BB gun, even though I had, my friends had Daisy pump BB guns, and it was really difficult to pump those things, but they were powerful. But my parents said, no, you'll shoot your eye out. That's all I ever heard from.
You'll shoot your eye out, kid.
Exactly. So what happened when I turned 12? My father gave me a .22 rifle. So, go figure. But
I never did have a BB gun. I went right from nothing to a .22 rifle.
Well, same here. That's exactly what I did. But then my brother, who was 6 years younger than me, I was away at college. My parents gave him a BB gun. What the hell? My parents wouldn't let me have a car. We lived out in the country. You'd think I'd, want to go meet some girls or something. No, we'll drive you. Well, that's going to be
that's always an attraction for your girlfriend.
Yeah, that made me very popular around the ladies.
Hold on, we'll be there about 4:30. My mom will be with me.
Yes, and then Dad will pick me up at 10 o'clock. So anyway, my brother gets this BB gun, and the first thing he did was shoot a hole in a window in our bedroom, which was,
Yeah.
and I had to share a bedroom with him because my parents couldn't keep their hands off each other, and they had so goddamn many kids. But we had Pella thermopane windows, and so the BB hit the inside, but it never penetrated the outside pane of glass, and it was like that until the day we sold that house.
So that's actually a pretty good memory. You know, the BB fell down in between the two panes, probably in there somewhere to this day, and you can always remember that was the time that happened.
Well, I was in college, chasing. I was trying to replace all the ladies that wouldn't give me the time of day in high school. And so when I got home, I saw the hole, and I said to myself, something has happened here. What has happened? And then it came to light that my brother had been given a BB gun at a very young, tender age, and I was never allowed to have a BB gun. My sisters, my youngest sisters, were given their own car, so that my parents didn't have to be bothered when they went into town and came back, and when they wanted to stay out with their friends. They had a Pontiac station wagon that we bought somewhere, or inherited actually. And frankly, I was very disturbed that I hadn't been given that same courtesy when I was younger.
Doug, I hate to say this, but I'm beginning to pick up on something. You may, just may have been the wild child in the family.
I was the first child, and we were all about 4 years apart, which my father called his college financing plan. And I don't think I was that particularly wild, but I think they suspected that I would be if given enough rope. And so they kept a tight lid on me. And as the other kids came along, they were tired of being parents. Go have fun. See you later.
Yeah, go ahead. Play. Yeah, absolutely. You can have all the fireworks you want. Well, you know something?
We've pretty much yacked all the way through the whole damn episode, haven't we?
I forgot to turn on my clock, so that's the major problem.
Well,
so
I would tell you the time, but you would have a heart attack. We have been talking.
I probably would.
So let me launch into our subject matter for today. This was kicked off by several people, one of which was Steve. I know Steve is very prolific when he writes and asks questions and everything, but I also had questions about this same subject from other people, so I thought maybe it's time to address this subject. But Steve wrote me a letter, and with a link at the letter, and the link said lassohealthcare.com 2023, and he said, what does deposit, plan deductible, and member responsibility mean in this context? And so I clicked on the link, and there we were at the basic description of the Medicare MSA plan, the one Medicare Advantage plan that I don't hate. And in fact, I have sold a few, and I do recommend them to people when the circumstances are right, because it does have some fantastic elements to it. And in fact, I would have a Medicare Advantage plan. If I had to have a Medicare Advantage plan, this is the one I would have for me. This is a plan that doesn't cost anything. It's got several elements to it that I should explain, but now my mind is on the short time that we have left. But the Lasso Healthcare MSA, Medicare Savings Account plan, is a Medicare Advantage plan that does not have a network. It does not have the restrictions that take away the freedom of choice that all other Medicare Advantage plans, which Randy lovingly calls, what do you call them, Randy? Ooh, Medicare. He hasn't even figured out how to turn his microphone on. Medicare Scam Vantage.
Medicare Scam Vantage is one of my newer descriptions.
I think it's an excellent.
Someone in the podcast universe took my other nomenclature for it because I was calling it Medicare Disadvantage, and someone else just landed right on that and took it.
That was an article that I read, and frankly, they took your idea and ran with it, hoping for the glory that comes with every good thing like that. So in this case, Medicare Scam Vantage was your next one. I think that's an excellent one. So the Medicare Scam Vantage plans are all sucky if things go south on you, except for this one. Medicare MSA has the capacity to make you a very, very happy camper. Now, with all of the plans that I promote heavily, it has a high deductible. The Medicare MSA plan has no premium. It's cost-free, but it has a high deductible, and it has that deductible because they give you money, which reduces the deductible. And they have a choice. They can give you one of two different plans. So let's say I want a Medicare MSA because I'm tired of paying premiums, and I want to basically, I want to have a plan that offers all the freedom of choice of a Medicare supplement plan. And I'm healthy as heck, and I'm probably not going to need a lot of medical treatment. So what should I get? And I'm going to say, well, the Medicare MSA plan, it offers two options to you. One, you can have a little more risk than the other, and the reward is there for you taking that risk. So if I wanted to be very conservative, I would take their growth MSA plan. And what happens is that is a $5,000 deductible. This is what Steve was asking about. What is the deductible? What is the deposit? And what does your responsibility mean when it comes to the MSA plans? And so it is, I'm just looking at my neighbor who just came home. His backup lights are on. He's got a Cadillac, and his backup lights are on in the garage. He just closed the garage door. Is it possible he left it in reverse? Oh, well, I don't know. It's a newer car than I will ever have, that's for sure. Okay, so the Medicare MSA plan has a high deductible, and one of the two plans has a $5,000 deductible, which sounds very scary. But here's how they reduce the impact of that deductible. They give you $2,000 at the beginning of the year. That means that you now have only a $3,000 deductible. And frankly, if you don't need any medical treatment at the end of the year, or by the end of the year, so you've gone all year, you have $2,000 sitting in the bank account they've set up for you. And now, next year, what happens? They give you another $2,000. You still got a $5,000 deductible. Now you got $4,000 in cash sitting there. All of a sudden, if you need medical treatment that year, you've only got a $1,000 deductible. Not too shabby. Let's suppose you go to year number 3. You haven't needed any medical treatment. You haven't used the plan. You will be given another $2,000. Now you'll get $6,000 because you've had the plan for 3 years. $2,000 every year they give you of taxpayer money, by the way. And you now, if you meet your $5,000 deductible, they will. You still have a $1,000 left over to invest or to play with or whatever. But what happens after you have met your deductible? You will then have 100% coverage of all Medicare-related and Medicare-approved procedures, which is pretty much everything that's going to happen to you. And then there are many, many other things. Taxpayer, IRS Publication 502 lists a million other things like dental and so forth that you can spend this money on without having to pay taxes on it. Now, let's suppose you want the higher reward option. Then you're going to go for the Growth Plus MSA from Lasso Healthcare. So the deductible there is going to be $8,000, but they're going to give you at the beginning of the year $3,000. So that means your responsibility, if you do the math correctly, is $5,000. Now, let's suppose you get trampled by a herd of elephants in the middle of the year. You're likely to have more than $5,000 of medical expenses. You're likely to have more than $8,000 of medical expenses. So they have given you a 100% health insurance policy that costs nothing to you and has an $8,000 deductible. But you get trampled by this herd of elephants, and you're sitting there with the $3,000 the plan gave you in your bank account, and you've got a lot of medical bills. You're going to have to cough up $5,000 to get to your $8,000 deductible. So they've given you $3,000. You got to find $5,000 somewhere, And then after that, 100% of all your medical expenses are paid. But let's suppose that you don't have any medical expenses. Well, they've given you $3,000. You're going on your merry way all year long. You have no medical expenses to speak of. Or if you have some small ones, you pay them out of your own pocket. At the end of the year, they're going to give you another $3,000. Now you've got $6,000 sitting in your account, and you have an $8,000 deductible on your 100% health insurance plan. So that means your deductible for that following year is only going to be $2,000. Your exposure is only $2,000. And so with both of these, you go 3 years without any significant medical expenses, and you're in the pink, your money ahead. So the Lasso Healthcare Medicare MSA plan is a plan. It's a Medicare Advantage plan in which they go to the federal government and they say, give us a bunch of money for each of our participants. And they turn around and they put either $2,000 or $3,000 of that money into an account that they open for you at Optum Financial. You can take that money out. They give you a debit card. You can spend that money all over town if you want, but you get taxed on it if you don't spend it on the lengthy list of medical types of things. And that lengthy list is contained in IRS publication 502. And you don't have a network of doctors and hospitals. You can go to any doctor or hospital that is willing to take the plan. And that is pretty much any of them, because they like the idea of getting paid. And so once they understand that an MSA plan is going to pay them what Medicare would pay them, then they typically don't have any complaints. So there's a whole lot more to this plan, but I blew most of the early part of the episode talking to Randy about odds and ends. And all I can do now is say, if you're interested in the excellent Medicare MSA plan, let me know and I'll send you some material on it, because it may be that if you're turning 65 this year, or if you're leaving your employer, you're leaving your employer's coverage, it may be that this is a good option for you. If you're willing to roll the dice a little bit, you've got some risk tolerance. You're not a sissy. You're not going to hide under your bed if you have a big deductible plan. This could be just right for you. So Medicare MSA is the whole point of view, the whole thing that you're going to be looking at if you ask me for some more information on it. So what do you think, Randy? Is that enough for today? Enough content for one episode?
That was like a good meal. It had a great beginning, it had a great middle, and it had a great end.
Oh, boy, I'm glad to hear that. Well, you should send us home then before we get tired of listening to
We are going to send you, we're definitely going to send us all home. But before I do that, Doug already talked about the things that we've got available for you. We always ask you to go out and find a way to give us 5-star rating, because we're obviously in the rating wars, just like anybody else. But we certainly appreciate each and every one of you spending some time out of your day with us, because I know, and as Doug knows, you could have been 100 different places, especially this time of the year in the holiday season. But you weren't. You were with us, spending a few minutes listening to the Medicare for the Lazy Man podcast. And we need to go ahead and sign off. But before we do, you have just spent about 32 and a half minutes with Doug Jones, the anti-insurance insurance guy from Cave Creek, Arizona, originally hailing out of Oklahoma, but now living in the high altitudes behind Cave Creek in his fortress of solitude.
Goodbye, everyone.